Good morning. I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Going to spend some time talking to you about you and your business. And as usual, I've got a lot to cover on today's program, so I'm going to get straight to it. I've got the one and only Chris Hudspeth here in my studio. He's with a great company called Humankind SEO. And Chris, good to have you back here in our studios. Good to love to have the people that you bring on for our conversations. It's fantastic and good to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Before you introduce your guest, spend a little time telling us about Humankind.
Yes, sir. Humankind SEO creates content for website owners. So for companies that are looking for more exposure and they're looking for more traffic, you can purchase it from Google through a AdWords pay-per-click campaign. But usually at some point, website owners want to retain that traffic and earn it organically. So we create the content for the websites that helps them do just that.
Okay, that's very cool. In fact, some future segment, we ought to talk just about that. That makes a lot of sense, Joe. And introduce your guest for us today.
Today we have Jonathan Crane with the Kent International Group, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about all things new and trending with group medical benefits for businesses and small businesses.
Awesome. Jonathan, welcome to the program. Kind of give us your elevator speech before we get started.
Well, the elevator speech, I gave it to Chris on the way up.
Oh, good. You're in practice then. That's excellent.
We're tired. Basically, what we do is we offer small and medium-sized businesses tailor-made benefits programs, whether it's the medical, the dental, disability, life, vision, all those sorts of things. But our specialty is that we do it for not only the domestic clients, but international clients as well.
Oh, very cool. Go ahead with your question, Chris.
Well, we were wanting to talk about what's new with insurance benefits and what do you see employers looking for and what are their common questions these days?
Well, the employers are looking for a lot of things. It's been a lot of scrambling over the last 4 years with the Affordable Care Act. Some of it's been sit and wait. Now employers are feeling that they can spring into action and try to implement and plan for the future, even if it's a short-term future, year by year. So what they're looking for now is compliance, somebody they can trust with understanding and making sure that they're in compliance with the Affordable Care Act. And then also with that, cost cutting. It's always cost efficiency, keeping employees happy. All of those things are constant, so that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, so by the way, you have an international reach. What percentage of the company's clientele is in the United States?
I would say 55%. It varies, to be honest with you. 55, 45, and it'll bounce both ways. Sometimes the 45 is domestic. Sometimes that's 55% of it.
Awesome. Okay, go ahead there on your next question, Chris.
So you find yourself in a compliance and confidence stance. Do you find that you're more of an advisory position with these employers more so than offering them an actual package?
Yes and no. We don't like to say it in that manner because we're not a consulting firm like some of the big boys that are around town. We like to come in and put our neck on the table, if you will, and say, hey, this is what we believe is best for you. But yes, in the sense that insurance is almost a byproduct in a sense because you do need somebody that wants to make sure that you are compliant with the Affordable Care Act where necessary, and you have to be confident that I can do that or our company can do that. So yes and no, if that answers your question.
So let me ask you in terms of the sweet spot, what size company is a good fit for yours? Or are you pretty much all over the map? Most companies aren't. There's usually an area that works for them demographically, size-wise.
What I would say is we will go as small as 2 because that's what creates a group in the state of Texas and actually, statewide or nationwide, sorry. And so we'll go from there because a lot of those companies tend to grow and they tend to be loyal and we build that loyalty. So I would say we can write anything, but I would say from 2 to about 150 is our sweet spot because a lot of your big guys don't want below 100. So we'll get in the tank with them a little bit for that 100 to 150 market, but under that, we'll take those companies that are just numbers at the bigger houses and give them the VIP treatment they seek.
Yeah, knowing that they'll grow. So you're really a small business to small mid-market at the very most, I guess, as far as size, which is awesome because they're often the most neglected out there.
Absolutely.
And I worry about small businesses that will work with companies that primarily work with large mid-market or larger, and it's like they could really care less about you. You're part of their coffer, but other than that, there's not going to be a whole lot of looking out for your interests.
Prime example of that, and I won't name names, but you run into people that they leave the broker, and you've had the agent of record letter for months on end, and they've never received a phone call until it comes renewal time, and they get a phone call going, "Are you ready to renew?" And they say, "You haven't been our agent for 6 months." So, that is not an uncommon thing. So,
oh, yeah. And there's a lot of different companies that does just that. Chris?
Well, maybe, Jonathan, you can settle some disagreements that have always been happening around the studios. And we always wanted to know, are employees, are they looking more toward cash from their employer, or do they care more about benefits?
Studies will show, so not just me, studies will show that employees will take less money for benefits. They will look at the benefits package, they will look at the salaries, but they're two separate things and should be from an employer standpoint. But at the same time, what tends to happen is they'll take the benefits package home, compare it against their significant others, and see whether it's worth taking or not. So, yeah, I would say that the employee benefits are equally, if not a bit more important than what the actual salary is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that can be the thing that'll nab you because it's getting harder and harder for individuals to get insurance in spite of Obamacare. I mean, it's getting more and more really hostile almost for the individual out there. It's a strange dichotomy. But then again, it's not unusual. Whatever government tends to try to make easier usually makes it worse. So I guess it's not that unusual, is it?
No. Well, and that's actually a very good point because the individual market has taken an absolute hammering in the sense that you now have to have a qualifying event outside the open enrollment Affordable Care Act window. Whereas before, if you finally decided, hey, I need insurance, you could go out and get it. It's about a 2-week process to, basically get the form filled and money into the carrier, and you're good to go. Now you need, whether it's divorce, birth, marriage, all those sorts of things to even be able to qualify, or loss of coverage somewhere else to qualify for an individual plan outside the open enrollment period. Yeah,
and meanwhile, you're paying 50 to 75% more on average than you would just a few years ago because of all of the things that insurance is now required to cover.
And
I'm a 52-year-old man, and if I want a single coverage, it'd have to include pregnancy. It's like, obviously a bureaucrat did that and not someone who actually is in the insurance business. Chris?
Where are your biggest countries of reach? Where do you find that your clients are looking for coverage for their employees?
I wouldn't term it in this source of reach of a country. I would say a region, say Asia. Singapore is a big jump-off point. Now, we cover a lot of people, whether it's down in Australia, Malaysia, Japan, offshore, but they all tend to congregate in a country in a particular region. So you may get a lot out of the UK going down to Africa. So while we don't necessarily have a presence, brick-and-mortar presence, if you will, what we've done is built strategic partnerships down in those regions. We do have an office in Singapore, so that makes it a little easier. But the UK, we can work there with those companies that are sending employees down to Africa and those other regions.
Got to wrap it up. Thanks to both of you gentlemen. Jonathan Crane, he's with Kent International Group. Very interesting. Glad to have you on our program today. And of course, Chris Hudspeth, he is with HumankindSEO.com, and love his contributions to the work here at The Price of Business. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kevin.
You bet. When we come back, much more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here does show up over there at USDataReview.com, and this is The Price of Business.